This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by eMusic, GoDaddy, and Netflix. Another edition of iFanboy. I'm Ron. Josh and Connor are back in New York, and boy, are they missing out. I'm here in San Francisco at the Isotope, the comic book lounge, for Mark Millar and Tony Harris signing. They're right upstairs. This huge line of folks waiting to get signatures from them. This is the last stop on their tour of America. They hit about 7 cities. They just came up from LA. They were in New York. They're in Vegas. Here in San Francisco, they're going to go out with a bang. Hopefully a little bit later I'll be able to talk to them, but for now, everybody's getting their book signed and having a good time. So I'm here with Tony Harris, artist extraordinaire. How you doing, Tony?
Good. How are you?
Very, very good. We're here at Isotope here in San Francisco, and this is your return after 4 years ago you were here?
Yeah, 06 maybe?
04, I think.
No, 04. 06 was WonderCon, yeah.
Right. So, cool. So you're here with Mark Millar, and you guys are talking about war heroes. What has doing the art on a book that has a political bent been like? You know, and you're working on Ex Machina, which also has a political bent. How do you approach that book, knowing that it touches upon so much things that people are passionate about and things like that?
Well, I find that you can't really concern yourself with that kind of stuff. You have to just kind of do your job, and as an artist, I have to just enjoy myself and visually do the things that I think I need to. Right. And because if you worry about that kind of stuff too much, it's going to curtail your creativity and sort of rein stuff back. And so I just do what, Mark writes the script, and we collaborate, and he's open to what I want to do. And at the end of the day, I just draw what I feel needs to be done and not worry about the end result.
Cool. Are you happy with the end result, that is?
So far, yeah, it's been great. Issue 1 was a lot of setup, so not tons of action, but with every subsequent issue, it just ramps up and gets faster paced, and by the end of it, it's just World War III.
Awesome, very cool. So working with Mark Millar, one of the top writers, and working with Brian K. Vaughan and Ex Machina, how does working with a different writer, do they have individual styles you need to adjust to, or is it pretty much, kind of common?
Well, Machina and War Heroes are very different books. So Machina is all about politics and mainly, and interpersonal relationships and New York City, and War Heroes is almost all action. So it's great because I can do my baby, my love, my Ex Machina on a daily basis, and then War Heroes is my side project, and it's a great distraction because I go from the quiet resonance of Ex Machina to just the high octane of War Heroes, and I can flip back and forth on both when I need to, and it keeps a nice balance.
Cool. So Brian K. Vaughan's only comic work right now is Ex Machina. Have you been affected by his TV stardom and schedule and stuff like that? Or
actually, no. I mean, he's been great. I mean, the scripts have been coming in regular.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting on him, so if the book is late at this point, it's my fault.
Well, that's good to know. That answers our questions. So recently the Starman omnibus came out, and your work in the 90s that is heralded as one of the best runs on a superhero comic. How does it feel to see that back in print and to see so many people talking about it, 10 plus years after it came out originally?
It's really rewarding. I think it's overdue. I mean, I hoped that they would do something like this years ago, and the fans have been screaming for it for 10 years plus, and I owe a debt of gratitude to Starman. It put me on the map. I've languished on this project and that, and that one book was the thing that sort of centered me and gave me focus, and so I'll have a debt of gratitude to Starman for the entirety of my career.
So when you hold the omnibus and look at the pages, and then you look at War Heroes and Ex Machina, how personally have you seen your style evolve? Because it's evolved. I mean, it's almost like two completely different artists.
You know, it's weird because my son's 12 now,
Yep.
and he was actually born in '95, and I was just in the meat of the series at that point,
Yeah.
and he's reading it now.
Oh, wow.
Because the hardcover came in, and he was like, well, can I read this? I'm like, I'd love you to. And it's great to see my work in the infancy of my career through my son's eyes.
Right.
And like I'll do con sketches of Jack, and he's reading the book now, so he'll look at a con sketch he sees on the internet and go, that doesn't look like Jack. I'm like, well, I'm the one who says what looks like Jack. So it's really great. It's weird in a way to look back at that because that was the first monthly I've done. I've only done 2, that and Machina, and it's nice to be able to look back at that book now and look at the creative leaps that I made from one issue to the next. So it's a little surreal in a way.
Yeah, very cool. So as your art style has evolved and with Machina and stuff like that, and it seems as if you've utilized more photo referencing in your art and stuff like that, and that's been a bit of a controversial topic. What is your kind of approach and how photo referencing works with your style and your the way you approach doing a book?
As long as an artist, as long as you use it as a tool and not a crutch, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Norman Rockwell is one of my heroes, and the man went to painstaking, levels to put his pieces together for the Post, and you have to know when the camera lies and just use it to sort of block things and get it the way you want, and you have to be able to draw. You have to have some kind of ability beyond using photo reference, and if you have that, it's a great tool.
Yeah. Cool, excellent. Well, thank you. We're big fans of Ex Machina, big fans of War Heroes, and big fans of Starman. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by eMusic. eMusic is the #1 site for independent music online. With over more than 3.5 million songs to choose from, you can download MP3 files with no DRM. That's awesome. So go to emusic.com/iFanboy where you can see a custom playlist that we picked out of songs that we love. And when you sign up at emusic.com/iFanboy, you get 50 free downloads. You can download the songs from our playlist or any songs in the eMusic library. So head over to emusic.com/iFanboy. And GoDaddy.com. If you're looking to host your website, GoDaddy.com has exactly what you need. 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to Hosting Connection. The place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most from your hosting plan and your website. If you need to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names as low as $1.99 for registration, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Also, GoDaddy has recently started registering .ca domain names, so some restrictions apply. See site for details, but get them while you can. Head over to GoDaddy.com and use the coupon code iFanboy to get 10% off any purchase. Get your piece of the internet with GoDaddy.com. Netflix is the place for renting movies online. They've got over 90,000 titles with free shipping. They've got Blu-ray titles, which is really cool. They've also got that really cool streaming service, so you can watch movies on your computer. Netflix plans start from $4.99, and as a new member, you can get a no-risk 2-week free trial membership. So head over to www.netflix.com/iFanboy. Remember the www with www.netflix.com/iFanboy.
So I'm here with Mark Millar, writer for Scotsman here in San Francisco. You having fun?
Yes, I am. It is very good.
Excellent. So it's been a busy year for you the past year or so. After Civil War finished up, you got Fantastic Four launch of Brian Hitch. How was the reaction?
It hasn't sold as big as Ultimates, but it's still good. We've done 1.5 times what it used to do, which is great. Plus it's really good. So I can't complain. I'm really enjoying it, and that's the main thing.
Yeah. So when doing Fantastic Four, is it like the most recent issue just came out with the Galactus on the floor? Are you and Hitch working?
Spoiler.
Yeah, well, spoilers. The deal with it. Are you and Hitch working to make it as big as possible possible, or
yeah, we're trying to kind of juxtapose. How clever are we? Juxtapose the small with the large.
Right.
So things like the big stuff, like the parallel universes, Galactus, time travel, with the small stuff like what it's like to look for baby formula for Valeria and so on. Just. The idea, to me, the greatest thing about Fantastic Four was mixing the cosmic with the domestic,
Right.
And, anytime it gets too small, we hit suddenly Galactus appears out of nowhere. That's what I love about the book itself. Nothing is too stupid for Fantastic Four. If you come up with a silly idea, it works. We found that in Ultimate Fantastic Four, the Marvel Zombies, it would have been stupid in Spider-Man, but it works great in Ultimate Fantastic Four,
Cool, very cool. So we're here you're here at the party to promote War Heroes. War Heroes #1 came out, and #2 is on deck. So you're not American.
No,
Right. so yet you're writing about American politics and American kind of war stuff. Are you worried about how's the reaction been to that sort of thing?
You don't have to be a horse to be a vet. I can look at America and see what's going on, And sometimes you need that outsider viewpoint, like maybe you guys are too close to it to really see that you are sleepwalking towards fascism. You need a snotty European to come in and tell you this, But I mean, really, in all honesty, it is political in the same way that Ultimates was political. But at its heart, it's a romp about soldiers with superpowers, I mean, we can't pretend this is Das Kapital. It really is. Isn't it cool seeing soldiers throwing tanks at Al-Qaeda guys, I mean, that's really, the book is a fun superhero book. And I like the idea of just new types of superhero books. Kick-Ass is a weird, unusual superhero book. And War Heroes is, another weird way of looking at superheroes. At its heart, that's all it is.
Right. So are you worried with War Heroes being something so topical and politically minded, like dealing with the war in Iraq, worrying about, negative reaction in that way? I mean, because admittedly, when you read it, you realize that it's a different reality and that sort of thing, but
I think
it's touching a nerve a little bit.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, though, because I think you write about the world outside your window, not about your back issue collection, And I think that's what I've always tried to do, whether it's Ultimates or whatever. Excuse me. Anything I've worked on, I've tried to kind of do something that people in the real world can maybe have a touchstone with. And the war in Iraq is obviously the most interesting thing going on right now. It's more interesting than the regular stuff we see in the news most nights, But it's somehow slipped down the news agenda because we're 6 years into a war.
So you're working with Tony Harris on War Heroes and McNiven on Wolverine and Hitch on Fantastic Four. Yeah. How are you getting all these great artists to work with you?
Well, it's an equal opportunities thing. Tony is from Georgia, and it's a tax thing. Like, if you help an underprivileged American, like somebody from Georgia, you get a tax rebate. So, I mean, he can mostly hold the pencil and all that, and he can draw the figures we ask for and all that, And it's worked out great, and I get 40% off my tax bill it's like affirmative action, they call it affirmative action, and because he's slightly disabled, I get another 5% off as well,
So you got the Southerner covered with Tony and War Heroes, and you're working with the Italian American with Romita on Kick-Ass. How's that been?
That's been great, and I've got the fat guy covered with Hitch. And who else is there? McNiven,
the Canadian.
He's specky. He's got glasses. It's so funny. He's got glasses. It's great. And there's who else is there? Who's the other one? Oh, Tommy Lee Edwards.
Oh yeah. Geez,
yeah. I don't know what he is. So he's got a beard. He's got a big beard. Yeah. So.
Well, that's Marvel 1985 has been one of my favorite books of the year so far this year. How did you come up with that concept and how because I know it's been talked about for years now.
Yeah, I wrote it a couple of years back, but very simply, 1985 comes from my love of seeing weird things hit in the real world. Like, that was always my favourite thing as a kid. Like the episode of Buck Rogers or Star Trek where you saw them coming from the future into our world, I used to find fantastic, And I just love things like man's first contact with something supernatural, And I thought superheroes, the Marvel Universe coming into our world, it just seems so, it wrote itself, And the idea of setting it in a small American town, doing it like a Stephen King book, like Salem's Lot was the vibe I was going for, where it's ordinary people coming across something extraordinary. And it just wrote itself from there. I mean, one thing that really struck me is that even somebody stupid like Leapfrog would actually probably be able to take over Eastern Europe or something like that, because we don't have Daredevil or somebody to kind of help us against people like that, So like the Marvel technology, even on the C-list guys, would be catastrophic in our world, and that became really good fun, to kind of write that. Like, how would cops deal with the Stealth Man? How would the National Guard deal with the Sandman? And the whole thing suddenly seemed quite frightening when you looked at it, and that's those terms. Like I say, it became very easy to write once you started thinking it through in those terms. You know?
Cool, excellent. So, and then Kick-Ass finally came out this year. That's another book that's been talked about for years, and all the news was, with John Romita Jr. and kind of a realistic take on superhero. And then we hear about the first issue that there's rumblings of another movie and that sort of thing. What can you tell us about the Kick-Ass movie?
Kick-Ass movie is going to be fantastic. I wrote the series last year. Matthew Vaughn and I got together for the screenplay, the first draft, back in December. Jane Goldman, who is a fantastic writer, who wrote Stardust with Matthew, she's come on in January into February. She did a final draft and just made it spectacular. She's so good, and it was my favourite screenplay, like Pulp Fiction. It was one of those things you can just read, and it's really funny and it's really scary and so on. Then we just took it out to studios, and all the studios were saying, "Oh no, we love it, but you can't do most of this. You have to tone it down." And Matthew, luckily, is like a trillionaire or something, raised the cash himself and just said, "No, we don't need your money."
So it's going to be as violent?
It's going to be scene for scene like the comic, If anything, it's slightly more extreme in places. It's great, So like the Hit Girl stuff in particular, there's a 9-year-old assassin in the movie who looks like Robin, and just her slicing people's heads off and all this kind of stuff. It's unstoppable, and if done right, this could be amazing, and Matthew will do it right, and that's why I'm very flattered that he's had the confidence in the material to do it the way Johnny and I saw it as a comic book. So very exciting. It starts shooting September the 6th and comes out next.
So it's shooting this September?
Yeah.
Wow, it's like moving fairly fast.
Oh, it's moving incredibly fast. I mean, we've been ready though for a year. I mean, we have been in place for a while. But the sets are being built as we speak here.
So where's the next issue?
It came out 2 days ago.
So it'll be out by this day.
Yeah. But like issue 5, that'll be out probably about 4 or 5 weeks later. Yeah. Johnny's mostly drawn that already. So we should be on a decent schedule. And we're going to run to issue 8, and that's the end of the first movie. And it leads into the second movie. We're planning it as at least 2 movies.
Wow.
And we'll probably do that for next summer. We'll build up a few issues and get it out next summer.
So the Wanted experience hasn't scared you off from the movie or anything?
Are you mad? Wanted was fantastic. It's a big $100 million Angelina Jolie picture that is spectacular. It's so good. I could not have been happier with it, and I did a lot of work on it. And the stuff that even they changed, I loved. I thought it just worked really well. I see the comic, in the movie as 2 distinct entities, but even then, 70% of the comic is in the movie. And a lot of the stuff they didn't use in the comic is in the sequel, like Mr. Rictus and all that kind of stuff. So we're getting a trilogy out of a 6-issue miniseries, and it's a great trilogy. Timur is on for directing. All James is there for the whole thing. For your first movie, honestly, I can't believe how lucky I was with that, And then we Kick-Ass. It's been lucky a second time over, It's I just hope War Heroes can find a really good director too. I won't let it. Tony and I have talked about this. We won't let it go to anybody who's anything less than great, because we've been kind of spoiled now, So the next couple of weeks will be quite interesting. 5 studios are in for it, and we'll just see what happens.
So if you could pick your director to do War Heroes, which one would you like?
I can't say, because probably inside about 6 months we'll have someone, and then they'll play this. They'll Google themselves, and they'll be like, "Why did you want that guy?" So I don't know. It's just somebody good, The last thing I expected with Wanted was it would be really good. When I heard the lineup, I heard a Russian guy I'd never heard of, the producer of Legally Blonde, and the writers of Too Fast, Too Furious. Right, that was not a recipe for success, and yet it turned out fantastic. It turned out great. So who knows? As long as it's good.
So there've been a lot of talk recently around creator-owned comics and things like that. Yeah. You're one of the creators who have got you're firmly doing stuff for Marvel, Wolverine, Fantastic Four, but you've also got your own creator-owned properties. Where do you kind of stand on that? Is that you're obviously pure pro creator-owned, right?
Yeah, veering towards creator-owned. I think we're heading towards a 1991 situation. Where we're not there yet, but we're getting to the point where, like Kick-Ass, for example, Johnny and I made more money from Kick-Ass issue 1, 2, and 3 than I made from Civil War 1, 2, and 3. Wow. Even though that Steve and I made from Civil War 1, 2, and 3, even though we sold 423,000 copies of Civil War issue 1, and we sold 80,000 copies of Kick-Ass issue 1, and that's interesting. You suddenly realise, even the most spectacularly big-selling Big 2 book isn't going to make you as much money as a big-selling creator-owned book. Plus, we own that forever, and we get paid over again for the movie as well, So, but even on the comic alone, the creators can make a lot of money. But even beyond that, though, creatively, I just think there's only so many times you can have Batman fighting the Joker, or Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin. It's great. I mean, I love it. I grew up loving it, but I think we've hit the point now where let's see something new, And I get Robert's thing. I think Robert's a bit wrong. I mean, he is a partner at Image, right? I mean, so obviously he's going to say everybody come to Image, but I think he's a bit wrong when he says you shouldn't do Marvel or DC, because I think they're the backbone of the industry, But equally, if you spend your life writing the Hulk, you're insane. You should get in there and create some of your own stuff too, both financially for yourself, but also creatively for the community too,
So when you approach something at Marvel or at DC or whatever, like what you're doing with Wolverine is kind of a reinvention, an alternate future type thing. Are those the more in-line things that you'd want to do with those companies?
Yeah. I mean, I hate crossing over and all that, I mean, I like crossing over with myself, but if I have to phone some guy up who's maybe I'm not into his stuff and say, listen, how do we tie this story together? I mean, that is the opposite of writing. That's unwriting, that's de-writing, that's bad. So, I can't be bothered with that kind of thing. If I do stuff at Marvel or DC or anything, it's going to be mostly self-contained,
So we've got one issue of War Heroes done. What does the future of the series look like?
It looks good. I'm worried it's a kind of jihad on me and Tony Harris, though, We've got Islamic fundamentalist, terrorist supervillains coming up and all that. And the image, the cover of issue 3, the minute I saw it, I loved it, but it's, an Islamic fundamentalist with superpowers and glowing eyes, standing on the side of a plane with a sword, ready to kill an F-16 pilot. Don't they have us executed, or it's going to be great, So, I don't know, it's looking good. It's looking good so far,
Well, we're enjoying it, so thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
No problem at all.
So this has been a fantastic in-store event at Isotope Comics. Mark Millar, Tony Harris, they brought out the crowds. Everybody got stuff signed. It was a lot of fun. It was great to talk to them. So if you're not reading War Heroes by Image Comics, go check that out. It's a really, really good story, and it's great to see two great creators collaborating together so well. So if you have any questions about Mark Millar, Tony Harris, or any other comics questions, you can email us at contact@ifanboy.com, or you can head over to ifanboy.com and see all of our written stuff and all the great stuff that we talk about, or you can call our voicemail line at 1-888-FANBOYS. That's 1-888-326-2697. And finally, you can go to revision3.com/ifanboy to see all of our videos, the daily mini episodes, as well as our vibrant forum. Everybody's on there talking comics. Is a great place to be. So I'm going to go back in, get another drink, talk a little more to Mark and Tony, and I'll see you next time.
So I found it sorry, I can see Tony Harris gyrating his penis in my direction. I was on a roll.
So
Now I'll never be aroused again.